wrestling is a male soap opera, and plus it's just entertainment. Like, it is so much fun. It's these larger than life superheroes that we get to cheer for, and we get to watch win. I mean, even though it's all predetermined, we know that. I like the fact that they are under pressure and they have a challenge, and wrestling's sort of like life. Now I'm going to get excited here. Everything in wrestling, despite what people say, hurts. You know how I know this? Because I've been inside of a wrestling ring. I took a bump on the ground of the ring. It hurts. And plus, there's a wrestler, an Australian wrestler named TNT. And I had to ask him, I said, "Hey T, does getting hit with a chair hurt?" And he said, "Absolutely." So it's just that, it's a challenge. And think about this too. When you get hurt in a ring, it's like getting hurt in life, but you get up and you keep going. That's what I love about wrestling, is it's motivational. Like, if someone's in a submission hold, like a crippler crossface or a sharpshooter, you can implement that into life and think, wait a second, I've been in a submission hold a lot with family, with friends. I've been really sad, right? And I'm the one that's getting the hold put on me. If I can tap out, then I quit. However, if I can reverse it, then I'm going to be successful. And that's what I love about wrestling, is I think about my life as in, I'm on the ground and I'm getting locked up. And I've had knee surgery. My knee's locked up. And I have one or two choices here. I can either give it up or I can reverse. And I've chosen to reverse, because winners never quit. And that's what wrestling is for me, everyone. It's entertainment, it's motivational, it's fun, and it's my favorite match. Let me think here. I have hundreds of them, so I'm going to name one match in particular that I was very young. I was 5, and that match would have been the Hell in a Cell, the King of the Ring Hell in a Cell, Mankind versus The Undertaker. One of my favorite spots ever is when Mick Foley climbs to the top of the cage and him and Undertaker are fighting on top, and Mick Foley does this with his arm. I remember it vividly. He goes like this, and Undertaker grabs him and throws him off the top of the cell, off the top of the roof, about 20 feet, and he hits the table, goes straight through it. And I'll never forget that, because it was one of the craziest bumps ever. And then Mick Foley gets back up from this, which we all know this. If you watch wrestling, you know. He gets up and he goes back up on the cage, and Undertaker's like, "You crazy son of a, are you kidding me?" And Undertaker grabs him by the throat, picks him up and puts him through the cage. You can hear the tines snap. Pa-ting! Bang! And he hits the mat. So that's one of my favorite matches. I met John Cena. Yes, the one and only John Cena. And it was one of the greatest nights of my life. I'll never forget it as long as I live. You know, him and I spoke about certain things, and they say you should never meet your heroes, right? But I can tell you what, I could see him and he was great. He was a lovely man and very inspirational. So I hope if I can meet anyone again, it'd be him. So yeah, we spoke about his matches, and what he'd done in his early career. It was actually at a live event. So he was doing a talk, like a TED talk, and we could go up and just ask him questions. And yeah, so it was great. There's one question I asked him, which I regret to this day because it had nothing to do with him. I asked him about The Undertaker. And I asked him, I said, look, I need to know, what is the Undertaker's entrance feel like? And John Cena said, it is the most incredible experience I ever had. You're in the ring, the lights are out, you see smoke, the music, and he comes out slow. If that doesn't scare the crap out of you, I don't know what will. And I thought to myself, you know what? That is so true, you know? That was one question. Another question I sort of regret asking him, but I needed to ask him, was about Chris Benoit. Another favourite wrestler of mine, God rest his soul. I asked him, I said, look, what do you think Chris Benoit, why do you think he did what he did? And John Cena's answer was, everyone needs to be held accountable for what they do. I'll never forget his words. Everyone needs to be held accountable for what they do. And when you do something like that, you've got to pay the price. And unfortunately, that's what happened. But he killed his wife, he killed his son, and then he hung himself. Because apparently he had brain damage. Which, it doesn't excuse it by any means, especially a child. But that's why I said in the beginning of the video, my friends, if anyone thinks wrestling's fake, I don't think there's anything fake about it. Yes, it's predetermined, right? Absolutely. Guess what, Ryan? You're going to beat Anastasia with a suplex tonight, as she's going to lay down in 1, 2, 3. Okay, we know that. But guess what? To get thrown around, you can't prepare for that. To get hit in the head, you can't prepare for that. So, yeah. I mean, they don't punch you, right? I apparently heard Triple H once say that when he hits someone, right, he actually, let's see if I can go side on. I'll see how well I can do this. It's about selling, okay? So, someone's about to hit me. Ready? Oh! Ready? Oh! I'm not hurting myself. I'm fine. But it's the sell job that makes it look like it hurts. And that's their job. And if you ask me, that's a fascinating thing. I mean, I'd love to do that. I'd love to be able to go, I'm not hitting anything. Right? So, yeah, that's what I love about wrestling. And it's like, if I ever could get in a ring again, make a big return, I want to experience it. I really do. Because there'd be nothing like it. I mean, it'd be hard on your body, and the traveling would suck. You're never home. But yeah, that's what I love about wrestling, everyone. See, what I like about the gameplay is imagination, right? You can create matches that have never happened before. Like, for example, The Undertaker versus Andre the Giant. That never happened. But you can make that match, right? Hulk Hogan versus, let me think. Hulk Hogan's versus everyone, so hold on, I got to think about it for a second. The late, great Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan versus John Cena, yes. That'd be a dream match. Bret Hart versus John Cena. So you can create anything you want. That's what's great about the games.
Which one's your favourite?
My favourite ones would be SmackDown versus Raw 2007, WWE 2K22, and maybe SmackDown versus Raw 2010 and 2006. Oh wait, there's one more on Xbox. That game is WrestleMania 21. I love that game. I begged my mum and dad to try and get me that game. That was actually the very first game I played, WWE. WrestleMania 21, and I loved it. As I said, it's about imagination. You can create anything. You can make any match you want. You can do anything. So that's what separates the WWE games from other games. And I know that Call of Duty and all that, you can create certain things, but there's really not a lot of difference, my opinion. You're creating matches. As I said, Bret Hart versus John Cena never happened. Undertaker and Andre the Giant never happened. Hulk Hogan and John Cena, I mean, You can make whatever you want. You can determine the outcome. However, it's bloody hard to do. So you're versing a computer, basically, right? So you're the player, got the controls, and you're versing a computer. You've got to be good enough to beat that computer. So can you determine the outcome? No. Sorry, but you can't. So, yeah. I've had many games where I picked the best wrestler, Roman Reigns, and I lost. So there you go. Maybe it's just crappy gameplay because the tribal chief doesn't lose very often. So, yeah. Sorry, Roman, but you didn't win. And you versed a wrestler that was no good. My bad, I'm sorry. I might have just really hurt your reputation. It's just kick-ass. So yeah, that's about it, my friends. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and enjoy the rest of your day or week, whatever you're... Enjoy yourself.